Hi everybody, I am Dr. Tracy Hardell and I am excited to be your instructor for healthcare research utilization. We are going to have a good 8 weeks together. Some people are a little bit nervous or a little bit intimidated about research, but we are going to have a good time and you are going to learn quite a bit. So each week, sometime on Thursday, maybe morning, maybe night, depending on what my day is like, you'll be getting one of these videos, a link to one of these videos in the main forum. And I'm going to be clarifying assignments for that week. Some of the assignments are crystal clear and the rubrics are great, some not so much. So I want to, at the beginning of the week, clarify the assignments so that you don't waste your time on something that maybe isn't quite so important and you can focus on the important areas. I'm going to be talking a little bit about those discussion questions for that week and the topics that are covered in the discussion questions in the lecture portion. So I'll be talking a little bit about that. I may be asking a class question, your opinion about something that relates to our topic for the week. And so it's really a good idea for you to try to watch that video pretty soon after it's posted. So again, you're headed in the right direction and can use your time effectively because we all know time management is really critical when you're in a master's program. Okay, so those will be coming out. Please, if you haven't, really look at all those announcements that I listed in the week 1 announcements. I broke them up into chunks in case you need to refer back to something later and you can find it quickly instead of looking through a massive document. One thing I want to point out to you in one of those announcements, might be under assignments, I've attached the GCU's APA guidelines document. As each course progresses, you are expected to get better and better at professional writing and to use APA formatting correctly. Not just the references, but how you set up the paper, your headings, all that good stuff. A lot of my students have printed out those guidelines and just keep them right by their laptop when they're doing papers so they can quickly refer to them. It's up to you, but definitely that document is there and I think you'd be wise to definitely at least have it available as a resource for you. Okay, so let's get started. There are a lot of different assignments in this course. I want to tell you about 2 that occur in multiple steps, okay? First of all, we do have a collaborative learning community or group assignment this time, and it's 3 different steps in the assignment. And basically what you're going to be doing is examining research and building a mini proposal for an evidence-based practice project to be implemented someplace, okay? I want to give you a little bit of tip on that before you start brainstorming on what evidence-based practice project you want to do as a group. This is a practice project. We only have 8 weeks in the course. You want to choose a topic that has been well researched. So there's lots of evidence for this evidence-based practice. I'm going to give you an example, and no, you can't use that example for your project. An example is decreasing the rates of catheter-associated urinary tract infections, CAUTIs, by developing standardized guidelines for when nurses can DC a Foley catheter without having to get an order from the physician. That is an evidence-based practice. There's been all this research done. There's been research done about the effectiveness of pulling catheters in a timely manner. There's been research done about nurses not pulling them at crazy times and causing harm to the patient. It's all been backed up, and it's something that's out there, and we know about it, and pretty much everybody does it now. So those are the types of things I want you to look at. Kind of think about your work settings, places you've worked before, stuff you've read in journals, evidence-based practice, okay? And we're going to be dividing it up into chunks, and you'll have different parts that do. Speaking of the CLCs, I need to wait till the end of this week in order to be able to formulate the CLCs, the groups, because what I find is that I start out with a list of students And then some of them really aren't in the class, or maybe we add some people to the class. Usually by the end of that first week, that's pretty much taken care of. So that's when that'll be coming out. All right, then we've got individual assignments. In a few minutes, I'll talk about the one that's due this week. But after that, you will also have an unfolding assignment. You're going to be selecting 2 articles, one quantitative research and one qualitative research, and we'll be talking more about that this week. And then each week, you'll be critiquing several parts of the article. So you'll be kind of ripping it apart and digging into it. And so we'll have 3 separate assignments for that. Okay, critical component. You have to have your textbook, whether you've got it regular physical textbook or you've got it digital, okay? In chapter 5, just to give you what it looks like, because you're probably seeing it backwards, there's box 5.2, and then there is box 5.3. They are broken down into the same sections that you're going to be doing on this paper, this one that goes in pieces. And what you're going to do is box 5.2 is for the quantitative articles, 5.3 is for the qualitative articles. You're going to say, okay, this week's paper says that I have to critique the title, the abstract, and the introduction. You're going to go to your book. You're going to look at the title, the abstract, and the introduction sections, and you're going to answer the questions that are under there. It's really simple, but for some reason my students have really struggled with this. And so I wanted to introduce it up front, and I'm going to be, as things are due, I'm going to be talking about it more, so don't worry. But please look in your textbook or your digital copy of the textbook, look in chapter 5, and locate box 5.2 and box 5.3. You will definitely need it to be able to complete these assignments, okay? All right. The other thing is, this is a master's course. So our textbook, while it starts out with some more BSN level concepts, like the difference between quantitative and qualitative research, it moves through them rather quickly. And then we get into a lot of different types of research, and we get into a little bit of statistics. You don't have to do any math in this course, so don't worry. But we're going to be talking about why we would use different statistics. And so if you still have your research book from your BSN program, it would be great to just pull that out. Or at times, something might be presented in a little bit of a complex way in this book, and you might want to Google that concept and see maybe if you can find a YouTube video on that concept to help explain it a little further. I will be adding some information, providing you with some information to help break down some things too. The book is a really good book, but it is a master's level book. And so depending on how long it's been since you've had your BSN research course, will probably depend on how easy it is to read for you. Don't worry, we will get through it. It will be okay. We might just need to bring in a little additional resources, okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay, so let's talk about this week. First discussion question. We want to try to differentiate the terms research, research utilization, and evidence-based practice. You might think, oh, I know what that is. Great. I would say that some of these are very easy to differentiate, and there are true definitions that are different. But sometimes they get a little overlappy too. So I'll be interested in hearing what you have to say in your discussion. Then the second one, we are going to differentiate between qualitative and quantitative research, and really what is it that essentially differentiates them. Please read the entire discussion question, the whole thing, because some of them ask more than one thing. And in order to get all your points, you need to answer everything that's asked in the discussion question, okay? So we've got 2 discussion questions, and then you do have an assignment that's due Wednesday by midnight. And you are going to be pulling an evidence-based practice article. Now, the directions have sometimes been a little vague. So you are going to pull an article about some nurse, or some institution that has implemented an evidence-based practice, because you want to look at what steps did they use, what went right, what went wrong. You are not looking for an article that says how to implement evidence-based practice. We're not looking for that type of article. I want an actual example of a real place that really implemented an evidence-based practice and what happened. Okay? If you have any questions about that, be sure to send me a note in your individual forum. I just want to make sure you're clear. And it's not too hard a paper. You're just going to pull out a few things and summarize them. It's an easy way to start off. Then I will also give you quite a bit of feedback probably on your writing, because again, writing is a thread that follows through this program. And I want you to improve. That's my goal. I'm not trying to be nitpicky. I just want you to get better and better with each paper. Okay. All right, so please read over all that announcements. This week's video is a little longer than usual. They're usually about 5 to 7 minutes, but I wanted to throw in some stuff in there, particularly some things that my past classes have struggled with, and I really want you to be successful. Okay? All right. I think that's about it for this week. I will see you in the main forum.